Thanks for all of you who have stayed around to the bitter end. And hasn't this been a wonderful day? This, I mean, when Chris started talking about this to begin with, I said, "Really? Can we really pull that off?" And he said, "Well, he always tells me you aren't thinking crazy enough." And he's our crazy thinker. That's why we'll call him the Chief Innovation Officer in the Virtual World Society. But Chris, I'm so glad you talked me into this, because it's turned out to be a wonderful event. And the spirit that I've felt here has been great. And of course, we had Nick this morning. Wasn't that amazing? Yeah. Yeah, Nick, I'm sorry he had to leave before the end here, but certainly he wants to team with us, and he has, of course, access to a lot of people, a lot of attention that'd be difficult for me to have a connection, or us to have connection. But certainly we will continue to follow up with him and thank him for his participation in this. You know, one of the things I've seen this go around is there's some interesting things happening. I mean, the technology is coming along. But, you know, we've always been in this, up to this point, I think, still in the push mode, in the technology push mode, where we've been, we're intoxicated with this stuff, with this technology, and we make it and sort of hope that it's going to have some applications. But then we're seeing the emergence of applications, and it's happening mainly in the vertical markets. I think I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago in San Diego, Brain Exchange Conference, where it was mainly about commercial use of technology and AR and VR. And amazing things were being done, and companies were making investments in that. Now, what this means is that we now have shifted from sort of a gaming kind of thing, where this was considered to be a gadgets, to where serious people who want to use this to solve problems are coming on board. Now that's going to help us a lot, because what it's going to do is sustain this during a period when we get the horizontal market. Vertical markets are fine, but what we're talking about in a virtual world society is really horizontal markets. We're talking about getting the diffusion out there in the world, especially in the homes and the classrooms, the living room as a classroom, things like that, as I talked about before. So I think that is a takeaway lesson that we want to encourage that kind of vertical uptake, because it will help sustain us. But we are at a tipping point, I think, now. We have momentum in the virtual world society we didn't have last year, certainly. And we have now people coming to us, actually companies coming to us and say, how can we be involved? How can we help you? And James is going to talk a little bit about some of those things here in a few minutes. So before I turn over to James, I would like Molly to come out. Molly? Molly's back. Are you back behind this curtain here? Come here, Molly.
Yes.
This is Molly. Have you guys met Molly before? She's the power behind the throne, let me tell you. So she's been running this whole thing for us, and has been our point of contact, and without her, this wouldn't have come together. And we want to really recognize her contribution. And with that, we want to give you a Nextant medallion.
Oh, I get one.
You get one. The Nextant medallion.
Oh, thank you.
For all for all you've done for us.
Oh.
And for all your colleagues, all you AV guys back there behind us, thank you, because it was great. I mean, it's so well organized, and it's glitchless.
I'll let everyone know.
Thanks, Molly. Thanks. So James, let's go ahead and turn over some time to you, and
okay.
James, you're going to say a few things, and then
I do.
Yeah.
So we thought about how we could do, and I've seen some of this kind of done before. We want to take it to the next level about doing a collective impact experiment to wrap up the day. Now, not everything fell into place as planned, but for me, this creates a framework or a state of mind that I think virtual world society is going to operate this way. I'd love to see it continue to be experimental and collectively focused, and that we really work as a community to birth this new nonprofit. That this is the weekend that it launched, or this week that it launched. So we will continue to use that as a guiding point. At least I will. I've recently taken the title of Futurist in Residence for Virtual World Society, which is awesome for this powerful technology to think what it will be like in 20, 25 years, 30 years, and kind of work backwards from there and what we can do today to make sure it has the full impact that it can have. So a couple things I wanted to mention. Please stay in touch with us. Contact at virtualworldsociety.org. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to follow up. We're looking at doing a webinar with Dr. Furness probably in a month's time to look at what kind of programs we all collectively can help shape and build. And for those programs to really fly, the talks that you've heard today are some seed thoughts of where we could go and the people that we could work with and the organizations that they're affiliated with. So we need to resource this organization. We'll be doing a social campaign to get the awareness out there in the world, but we're also trying to drive membership so that this organization can have a larger effect in the world. We were very fortunate. I want to thank my co-founder, Digital Raign, Allison Raby, for holding the vision for manifesting an Airstream, 34-foot Airstream studio that we were able to bring here with gracious support of Dr. Furness and the Virtual World Society and Augmented World Expo. We're the co-partners in bringing that here. And it really served as a place for people to come and have those conversations about what impact with this technology can look like in the future. And we're able to capture some of that on video as well and have a great time. So it was a lot of fun. And we're looking now, we had conversations about taking that on the road because this movement, we're calling this a movement now, we're not kidding, needs to go on the road. It needs a road show. Every technology needs a rock band, right? And so I think that's where we're going. So we talked to some folks about maybe a West Coast tour to prototype it, maybe college tour in the fall. And again, we need friends, family, partners to make this happen. And so we're looking to you, we're inviting you to bring your dreams, your visions of what you'd like to see happen with this technology. And let us know, and we'll figure it out together. I know I've got a real passion around applications for refugees. A lot of my Burning Man family and others around the world are working on bringing the technology into camps and into communities where refugees have been relocated. But I think Allison's got her passions around diversity and inclusion and how we can look at that. You heard the great panel today on that. There's a lot of areas that we'd like to do work in. The consciousness area, and of course, with institutions like the UN and Impact Hub and all these great organizations, we will be a very highly partnered organization and network to create that collective impact going forward. I think that might be all I have, Tom. I'm just seeing if there's anything else I wanted to mention. We could use sponsors. We could use members. And I talked about the next steps. So please send us any of your good ideas and things you want to see manifested in the world. And I know if you're here in the room right now or you're watching this on the World Wide Web, we're gonna make it happen together. And it's going to happen through community.
Can you ask if there's any questions?
Yeah.
I defer to Tom, but yes. Any questions?
Other than money, obviously we need money, we need bodies. What do you need in the next 3 to 6 months from us? Sign humans up to get the next step accomplished.
What's our homework?
I can answer that.
Please, yeah, I was going
I'll
to say.
answer that. Well, one of the things, certainly membership is important in terms of bringing in some income. And the sponsorships that we've been working on. What was amazing this time is that, as I mentioned before, companies were coming to us and saying how they can help. And that means we're going to say, well, send us a check, in addition to equipment and things like that. And certainly I think that these companies would be willing to do that. But, in the end, it's not going to be about the money. It's going to be about people. And it's going to be about ambassadors. And what we want to have is an ambassador corps with people who they're on fire. It's burning inside of them. They want to get involved and organize. Yeah. Oh gosh, this is Valerie over here.
He
She's
didn't say
the low energy.
cheerleader. He said ambassador. There you go. Okay. Yes.
So, that's what has happened so far. We've been excited to connect with other places. One of the things I didn't mention, I believe, was last year, I didn't silence my cell phone. I'm a bad boy. Is that we had an event that we helped with, the Virtual World Society helped with in Nigeria. And this is where we helped put together a hackathon there. And it was amazing what came out of that. And it started a whole movement in Nigeria with just a little bit of investment that we made there. And so I think that can happen everywhere. Many, many places. But it's going to be with connecting through ambassadors, through our ambassador corps. So that's probably one place where that can happen. Certainly, one of the things we want to do is provide a council or a group of pioneers or people who want to help and who want to help others. And so we want to provide that kind of a venue, sort of a virtual venue for these people for you to access them. And also resources for funding. We'd like to be a sort of a depository or repository for these kind of contacts, so that we can do this VR for good kind of activity. So, and back to the bottom line, we want to be the catalyst here, and want to be the bellwether. We want to be the foundation. We want to be the Peace Corps of VR. We want to be the National Geographic of VR. We want to be the public broadcasting system of VR, and all this for good. And we're going to lead with our nextant, with our hearts. Thank you for coming. Are there any other questions, by the way, before we quit? We have a few more minutes left.
There's another. Can I just add? I think with the conversations we've had over the last 3 days, that we'll just manifest this. We're doing a higher ed West Coast tour in the fall. And so we are going to need people who have contacts at schools and the rest to make that happen. I won't go without a DJ, so we got to manifest one DJ. Oh, we got one? Yeah, that's right, you do. And I think, as Tom said, we've got some of the best hackathon organizers in the world on our team, a network of those. And so I would suggest that we put, something on the calendar to do a hackathon that's not technology focused, but is on program development and how to roll this thing out in the world focused in the next, I don't know, let's not kill ourselves. Not doing 5 days. Let's do it in maybe a couple months. But yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I don't know if you're familiar with OpenIDEO, but they right now have a competition going on for bringing technology to refugee camps, and it does have a $1.5 million prize that goes with it that has come. They just announced it yesterday. That's out there, and I think that's really putting together teams. It's crowd information, crowd ideation, which is really kind of an interesting kind of way to kind of collect ideas and kind of moving things forward. So just because I know this room is interested in this area and there is an opportunity to, and they are taking not just nonprofits, but also companies that are social good companies. So just wanted to bring it up.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Go Going once? Going twice? All right, Tom.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, James. And thanks again, everyone. And I want to, at the end here, thank Ori and Tom from AWE, who really been generous with giving us this opportunity. We are team members now. I mean, we're sort of hopefully joined at the hip with AWE. We will want to have a presence of the Virtual World Society not only here every year, but also in Europe and in Asia. And so we're really grateful to AWE for that association. Now, we are also going to help them, and then we help fill out their mission in terms of the humanity side, the humanitarian activity. So thanks to Ori and Tom for that. And with that, what we're going to do is end a little bit early. And if you want to come up front and chat a little bit before we have to get out of here, I think we have to leave at 5. And be happy to talk more to you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging in there with us and for being members of the Virtual World Society. Thank you.